Thanks for everybody being here. How many guys were here all day today? You guys, it's a long day, isn't it? Huh? That's a coach's life right there. But thanks for being here. Really excited to present this year's class, 2016 signing class. Been an unbelievable year. It's been a fun year recruiting. It's been a long year recruiting. Our staff done an unbelievable job of putting it together. But we think we got an incredible class. There was no surprises today. Had a late guy here. That's why I was a couple minutes late here, just trying to iron the details of that one out. Really thankful there. So no surprises, which again is a tribute to the work that our guys have put in and the trust that these recruits had in our staff and this program. I want to first thank all our coaches are back here. Nobody realizes what goes into this class. We signed 25 guys today, but no one realizes all the evenings they're away from their families, all the phone calls they're on all night long. I mean, up till 11, 12 o'clock at night, you're on with these kids, with coaches, with parents, with whoever, their trainer. If we added up the minutes on the phone, all your wives would get after you, I would think. So it's time to repair those a little bit and start on to the next one. But I thank our coaches for all their hard work there. Our support staff, Dan Kabala, Mark Dethorn, Coach Junko, our entire support staff here in this building, because our coaches can't go on the road without the work that they do in this office, just getting all the groundwork. Chris LaSalle, Ben Mathers, those guys done an unbelievable job of really setting our flights, making sure we're on time wherever we need to. So I appreciate all their help there. I want to thank all our families that are brought into this Panther family today. Every one of them, some got mom and dad, some have just mom, some have uncle, grandma, whatever it may be. But I want to thank them for all their trust that they had in us as a staff and as a program. It takes so much to get these kids to believe in what you're doing. And without the parents and all their great questions for their sons, we wouldn't be here. I want to thank Chris Clark because he's here right now. I'm looking at Chris up here. Been recruiting him for a couple years. It's been 3 years now. 3 years, and he's finally, he's got that pitch shirt. He looks good. And Shantez will be up here, and Patrick Jones shortly as well. But I want to thank those guys as well. I want to thank our entire football team. I think when our kids come on campus, or these recruits come on campus, they get a chance to meet all of our players. They sell themselves. I had the question, what's the biggest thing you have to do and sell here at the University of Pittsburgh? And it's really, we don't have to sell a thing. This university sells itself. With how we do it. The campus, the support in academics, Penny over in life skills. It sells itself as a whole. So that's important. But our kids, when they've come on this campus and helped in the recruiting process, been at all dinners with our guys, spent the evenings with them, and really showed them what campus life is about. So all those hosts did an incredible job. The next really part of this job is to develop these players. And, we've got some great academic kids, some great athletes that can run, some great size. But the next step is to develop them into our type of player here and bring them in and take them to the next step. Just a couple quick facts. With the 25 signees that we have, 20 of them are captains. So you talk about leadership, 20 of the 25 are captains of the program. And I think that's impressive. We got a City League champion. We got 5 WPIAL champions. Got 5 state championships on this group. We got 17 All-State Award winners. 13 of them are all first team. We got them from 8 different states, which is amazing. Sometimes on Twitter you see the different places we're going. But when you look, we got 7 of them from Pittsburgh, or from Pennsylvania, I should say. Most of them from this Pittsburgh area. And, when I first got here over a year ago, said, the most important thing is to recruit our backyard. And I think we've successfully done that and proved that this Pittsburgh WPIAL area is important to us. So 7 of them come from there. We go west here. We got 5 from the state of Ohio. Again, I've said you go east and west, we got some great players. So 5 there. When you look over New Jersey and New York, we got 5 there. So east and west, we got a lot of great players. We got 4 from Florida, which is, again, always going to be a supplemental area for us. Went down there, and, again, our coaches did an unbelievable job. It's hard to go on the road that many miles away and pull great talent out of the state of Florida, and we did that. We got 2 from Virginia, one from North Carolina, a legacy player, son, and one from Chicago, Illinois. So we've been on the road, and we've been in each one of those kids' homes. We know everything about them. And I think that's the impressive part. We signed 11 guys on offense, 14 on defense. But the most impressive thing about this class is as you look at most of them, they can play either side of the ball. I mean, we've got offensive linemen that can play defensive line. We got defensive linemen that certainly could go play offensive line. We got linebackers that could go play tailback. We have safeties and corners that can play anywhere on the field. So it's impressive skill that you look at it and go, wow, if we have a need, we can play them over, kind of like a Jordan Whitehead last year when he's able to play both when you have a need at the tailback spot. So it's been impressive there. So without any further, we'll just kind of go through this list alphabetically. And I think you guys got the same list. So the first kid, again, I'm going to hit it quickly and give you questions afterwards. But we got Keyshawn Camp, a 6'4", 275-pound kid from Lakeland, Florida, Lake Gibson High School. A big football player. You may have seen, if you follow Twitter enough, I know some of you guys do, he made a big snow angel in the middle of Heinz Field. That was him. That was his body. So by the size of that angel, you know that's the guy. But Josh Conklin did an unbelievable job of staying on him. He was originally committed to USC, Southern Cal, that is. And Josh did a great job at staying on him. And when things didn't go quite what Keyshawn wanted, he fell into our lap, and we were able to gain his trust. And Keyshawn's going to be an unbelievable player for us. Again, a defensive tackle, but athletic enough to play defensive end, so he could fit, several different modes there. And again, the other thing I'm going to add is I say Josh is the lead recruiter because that's his area. But the one thing we've done a great job of is team recruiting. Okay, all except for one guy, I feel like we really did a good job team recruiting. I made a mistake early in the process of not really team recruiting one guy, and we're still able to land him. But for the most part, I want a kid to have a relationship with more than one guy. He's got to have a relationship with 3, 4, 5, and I think the more comfortable they feel with those guys, the better off we are. So Keyshawn, we're excited to have him. Phil Campbell, running back DB. We'll start off at the safety position, unless Coach Powell has something to do with it. But Tim Salem, again, recruits the New Jersey, New York area, really all of New England, and did a great job with Phil. Tremendous athlete, athletic safety. Again, could be a tailback as well. So we'll see where our needs take us, and he knows that. But Phil, tremendous person with a great family. We've talked about Chris Clark already a little bit, but Chris was a #1 tight end in the country a year ago. We recruited him at my last stop. Weren't able to get him. I thought we were going to get him, but we lost. A lot of people lost. He was recruited by everybody in the country, and we're hoping that he'll play for us sooner than later. That's still out there, and we're still through that process and fighting for him to be able to line up and play for us this year. I got Dan Bartholomew's working hard on it. Thanks for that smile right there, Chris. If you need to talk to someone, grab him right there. He called me the other day for his cell number. But he's a great person, comes from a great family. He played up at Avon Old Farms in Connecticut. And really hails from the state of New Jersey, so super football player. Next one, Theron Coleman from Brashear High School here in the city, champion, state champion player. Again, will play corner for us. Again, a tall, athletic, has great ball skills. Again, just will add to our secondary in every way. And again, he's probably the most mature player we have in our program, really. When you talk to him, he is focused and locked into what he wants to do. He works out about every day with his dad, maybe too much, but he does an unbelievable job in every aspect of his life, and he's a great student. Next guy, Maurice French. We got him listed as a receiver. He's an athlete. Maurice is from New Brunswick High School in New Jersey. Again, another guy, Tim Salem, but the entire staff recruited. Athlete. Again, we have needs at receiver position. I think he'd come in there and maybe fill in for a Tyler Boyd type guy. But we know if we get in a pinch that he can line up in the secondary and help us there. But an electric player that had plenty of people coming at him even late in the game, trying to flip him, and appreciate his support here. Ruben Flowers, the next guy, 6'3", 190-pound wideout from Lima, Ohio. Basketball player, very athletic. He's, I think, 18 or 19-0 right now in his basketball season, and He provides us a big target in the future. Again, a guy that's been really committed to us since the summer and has bought in from the beginning. Brandon Ford, I believe, was the first commitment, a big 6'5", 300-pound offensive lineman from Upper St. Clair here in the Pittsburgh area. He is a big, very athletic giant. He's a guy that, the first day at a basketball game in February tried to commit to me, and I kind of said, Brandon, make sure you get the right people. And he slowed down the process, and we were able to catch back up with him a couple months later. And Mom and Dad sat in my office, and he committed. And again, I think the first one of the class, so that guy's always a special one of this class. Bryson Gardner, Pittsburgh Central Catholic, 6'1", 175-pound safety, DB. He is a great football player, probably one of the most underrated players in this class. Bryce was a guy that we loved on tape, wanted to find out more about who he was and what he was, and he came to camp and blew it away. So when you talk about earning a scholarship, Bryce certainly did that, not only because of his play on the field, but he came into camp and with the pressure being on, and I'll start off with the Central Catholic guys, very well coached by Terry Totten, and a lot of them are here in this Pittsburgh area, but just a great technician, and everybody's got different skill levels. He's a guy that, with his skill levels, also plays with great technique, and Bryson's going to be a great addition to that secondary. Zach Gilbert, South Mecklenburg High School, North Carolina, a big defensive tackle, played some defensive end. His D-line coach was a guy by the name of Sean Gilbert, obviously a great football player here, and Zach is, super kid. Going to be a big-time player for us, and again, can't wait to get him on campus. The next guy, alphabetically, DeMar Hamlin, from, again, Pittsburgh Central Catholic, tremendous athlete. Had him in camp as well. DeMar came in, our indoor facility for a kind of a one-day camp with Evolve, and you talk about a tremendous athlete, one of the best feet, hips, athletic corners that you can probably recruit. Can't say enough about, again, him in the process, and you guys all watched the video the other night about, sitting right over here as far as how excited the staff got. Anytime I think you go on national TV and commit to the University of Pittsburgh at 6 o'clock in the evening when we're not really working, we're just kind of hanging out, enjoying ourselves when we got to do that. But DeMar's a super player. He's very intelligent, not only in the classroom but on the field. We're excited, obviously, to have him in this class. The next guy, Bryce Hargrove, again, another kid that camped here at the University of Pittsburgh. And I talk about those guys that come to camp, and a couple other young guys just jumped in here. Patrick Jones is here and Shantez Moss. But Bryce came over to camp as well. I don't believe we offered him prior to camp. I may be wrong. But, again, another very big athlete, okay? And, something that, we don't have a lot of, didn't get a lot in the last class. And to be honest with you, I probably should mention that. Last year's class, as we're talking about Bryce, we had a total of 15 guys. We had 3 power guys. When I say power, O-line, D-lineman. We had a total of 3 big skill. That's linebacker, tailback, quarterback type guys. And we had 9 skill players. So we had a really large skill class a year ago. In this class, out of our 25, we got 10 power players. So we got 10 offense and defensive linemen, which is what we needed based on only having 3 a year ago. We had 7 big skill, linebacker, fullback type guys, tailback type guys, and 8 seal guys. So a little less skill in this class, but we got some more size and talent there. So Bryce certainly, helps us in the power category. He's athletic, he's a basketball player. And, again, great family support system there. Again, another guy that, like a lot of these guys, got hit late by some other big schools. And the beautiful thing about some of these guys that got hit, they didn't call me and say, Coach, I'm thinking about going to visit here. They just said, no, thank you, hung up and said, Coach, I got a call from such and such, don't need to mention the school. But just flat out turned them down immediately without a fight, which was something that, is amazing and doesn't happen all the time. So Bryce from, Coventry High School right in the Akron, Ohio area. Next guy, George Hill. We got him listed as an athlete because he is a flat-out athlete, fast, probably one of the faster guys we have, 10-600-meter guy in the state of Ohio, I believe, or at least will be this year. but has timed out anywhere between 10.6 and 10.8 in the 100-meter. He can play on offense or defense. May just start him off on offense as a tailback or some type of H-back type position, but he shows up on every type of film you're going to find. He's got really good speed and athletic ability. He can go up and get the ball. So we're looking forward to getting George here. The next guy, just walked in, 6'5", 250 pounds. I think he's grown since he's been here. How much you weigh now, Patrick? 250. So he's 250 on the dot, but he's a big athlete. Again, another guy that adds to that power position. And again, you ever play tight end? Okay, so he can play tight end, he can play D end, and if we need his services on offense, we're going to find out what his ball skills look like because we did not have him in camp. But again, another very underrated player that can run and tackle people. So we're happy to have him on defense. The next guy from Cincinnati Moeller High School, Thomas McVitie, a guy that again came to camp and recruited as a quarterback and is a tremendous kid. Got a great family. From a great high school in Moeller. He, 6'5", 225, drop back guy. But, you could say he's a dual threat quarterback because he can run and he will hit you. So, we're happy to have another quarterback in this class. Aaron Matthews, 6'4", 190-pound wideout. And he's a guy that we wanted back in the summer. We've offered him a long time ago. We were able to, I guess, gain his commitment here last week and a half and gain his trust. And Aaron's going to be a huge addition to the wide receiver core with the absence of Tyler Boyd from his same high school. So we're happy to have Aaron. Again, we saw him. He played quarterback in high school. He played defense. And again, at the receiver position, he brings a lot of toughness to the game. He's a guy that's going to be able to, go downfield and not only catch the football, but be able to block people and break some big runs. So we're happy with Aaron. Next guy, DB, Henry Miller from Gateway High School down in Kissimmee, Florida. Henry's, again, another tall, lengthy DB, 6'3", can do a lot of different things. You watch him play quarterback, plays a little tailback. You guys will see the video. Very, very athletic guy. Again, another guy that was, again, being hit very late in the recruiting process, and we were able to hang on to him and have a lot of success there. Next guy, and this is a lot of guys, I know, apologize for talking so long, is Justin Morgan, says 6'6", 365 pounds. The guy's a giant, really. He could, hug you and you might be gone, some of you guys in here. He's a huge man from Poly Prep Country Day Academy in the Bronx in New York. And he's got, great support there. His mom actually lives in Brooklyn, and he's got a family right there in the Bronx that he goes to school. Really, to go to that school to get what he wanted academically, he would have to drive 2.5 hours with the traffic in New York. So, again, thanking that host family for taking him into their home. That tells you what type of kid he is when he's brought in your home. But he's a big, very athletic offensive lineman. You would not think he's 365 pounds. And very athletic and physical, and again, a super person, as all these kids are. The next guy, Shantez Moss from Bedford High School. Bedford, he, right up here, Shantez. All three of our guys are here now. You'll have a chance to talk to him, but Shantez, the only true tailback in this class, so he's got a lot of pressure on him because we're going to run the football. And Shantez is the guy that we loved on tape, and his coach had faith in us when we said, hey, listen, we love him. We wanted to come to camp and make sure that he fits into it. And it didn't take long at that camp to see that that's exactly what he was. And he walked out of that camp, and again, just like Bryson did, he earned a scholarship in camp. And so I know exactly what we have, and he's been impressive, again, like the other two have in their workouts here the last couple weeks as they've been here. Chase Pine, again, a linebacker from Lafayette High School down in Williamsburg, Virginia. That is all over Twitter. People thought he was back and forth. Rob Harley did a great job, obviously, recruiting him and keeping him in the boat. But he's been forever committed. He really never wavered. It looked like he was. It looked like he was in, he's out, he's in, he's out. And a guy that, has got a lot of people around him in his ear, and like all these kids do. But in the end, Chase was able to sign with us today. And again, is a big, very physical linebacker that's going to play a lot of football for us. on defense. The next guy, Kazon Pugh from Aliquippa High School. We know about the tradition at Aliquippa, and it's just great to keep that tradition going. Kazon, very athletic linebacker. Again, a guy that could line up and play tailback for you. Came to camp as well. Had a scholarship going into camp because of his, because his tape was unbelievable. And again, 6'1", 210 pounds. I think this guy's going to blow up when he starts eating in our program and lifting with Coach Andrews. But Kazon Pugh, super kid. Elias Reynolds, another linebacker, 6'2", 230-pound kid from Poly Prep as well in New York. Again, just another guy that we really don't have enough of them in our program. Guys that can play special teams, play linebacker. That guy could be an H-back, even an athletic guy on offense as well. But Elias is a super kid that committed to us probably about 3 weeks ago, I believe, or maybe 2.5 weeks ago. But a linebacker that we badly needed. Very intelligent kid at Poly Prep and has great football intelligence. Next guy, Amir Watts, defensive tackle from Wendell Phillips Academy in Chicago, the south side of Chicago. Really a super kid, like every one of these guys. And defensive tackle, says 6'3", 270, 275-pound guy that's, again, athletic. Could come in here and play defensive end as well. We'll see what he looks like when he gets here, but happy to have him in this class. Rashad Wheeler, Pittsburgh Central Catholic. Again, another big defensive tackle. Again, played some defensive end as well. So those guys are very athletic. With that power position, we've got a lot of big athletes that really can do a lot of different things, whether it's D tackle. And Rashad is, again, that's a guy that's really been a great recruiter in that high school for the last 5 or 6 months. I think he committed late summer and going to be a super player for us. Zach Williams is the last guy, 6'5", 275-pound from North Marion High School in Florida, just north of Orlando. A big athlete. Was off the radar from a lot of people's standpoint because he was a tight end. Maybe some people called him a slow tight end, but we saw something in him as far as what he did on tape, even in his junior year as a tight end. I think he can be a tight end. He can be an offensive tackle. He's big and athletic, and he's got good ball skills. So Zach comes from us. Coach Peterson did a great job recruiting him down that area, and going to be a great one for us. And then the last one, on my piece of paper, he's in red ink because he was a late addition. I've known for a couple of days he's going to come. He wanted to mess with Coach Salem a little bit. Where you at, Tim? Is Tim in here? He's probably still trying to recruit him out in the hallway. But I've known for the last couple of days, but you never know until you get that paper in. But he just wanted to keep it quiet and make a big splash on signing day. It's 2:30 approach. I'm like, where is this guy? Maybe he's not coming. But from Cooper City High School down right outside of Fort Lauderdale in South Florida. But again, a big 6'5", 255-pound kid that was originally committed to Michigan. They dropped him for whatever reason, and he's a guy that really adds depth to our defensive line in this class. Big athletic defensive end that can run. He could be a tight end, very physical, and again, just another super kid who came up here without his mom for a visit, and I think it was real hard for the mom to really let him go someplace she hadn't seen. So we'll get her up here eventually and let her see it. But very intelligent kid that comes to this program, and will again add a lot to us. And I think that's about it, EJ. So that was a long list of guys. We got a great class. Our coaches are going to be available. I'm going to open up some questions. Our players will be available afterwards. But after all that, do you guys have any questions?
You have a pretty heavy emphasis on defense in this class, and it's about 2/3 of the class. Did that target or goal kind of grow through the course of the season? Did you feel like you needed to load up more as the season went on?
We really didn't feel that way. We had our certain needs. We go into recruiting class, you think about what your needs are prior to the season, and as the season goes, you reevaluate it a little bit. But, you wanted certain guys at different positions, and I wish we had a few more guys on offense. There were some guys we went after, some guys we didn't get, but it just, I think as it all shaked out, near the last 3 weeks, maybe the month of January, it was really let's take the best available. We still had needs, but we weren't gonna, just like last year, take a guy just because we need a guy at that position. Okay, it wasn't more just at the end. It's taking the best player available out there. So that's why we, loaded up. And again, they can play both sides of the ball. And that's, you look at Rashad Weaver, he can in a second be going over there. So, I mean, it may in the end be balanced as far as offense, defense, but it really comes down to taking the best players. And again, I really believe that we have a huge list here of guys that can play on both sides of the football if needed. So, but it really just came down to best available, Chris.
Look for that kind of versatility, or does it just sort of happen?
Well, I mean, if you were the high school coach of a big high school, wherever it was, and you had a great player, would he play both ways? Heck yeah. Some of the best players play both ways, and you want versatility in a player. I want a player that doesn't want to come off the field. You like a guy that would be on offense, defense, and special teams. So that is something we look for. If a guy can only do one thing, he doesn't have as much power as a guy that can play both. So I think you have a lot more value when you can do both offense, defense, special teams, whatever it may be.
Yeah, I think there was a couple kids in this class who you had flipped from other schools, and there was a thread of flip from a couple other guys. Is the flip thing becoming more of a phenomenon in recruiting these days than maybe 5-10 years ago?
It is, and you wish it wasn't. It's not something we'd like to do or have done to us, because we've had it done. I think we had a couple last year, but for good or for bad. It's part of the process, and that's why it's so important. Our staff stayed on some guys that we thought we maybe had a shot at. There's some schools out there, maybe you should stay on their guys later, longer than maybe some others, I guess, for whatever reason. But it's part of the process, and I think in the end, it's the most important that these kids get what they want. And that's what I sell is, hey, I don't care where you go to school, but we want to make sure that you're happy wherever you are, and it doesn't matter. There's great schools everywhere. Everybody's got a great education, everybody's got nice facilities, but make sure you find the right fit. And I think until the end, I guess today's the day you put that ring on your finger, it's not over.
About players on both sides of the ball, but we've got 5 guys that are defensive backs that are 6 feet or bigger, and that's kind of a scarcity at the next level. The players start to understand and embrace, even though the running backs and wide receivers might get the flash and attention, that that's a pretty good route to go if you want to play in the National Football League, to embrace that on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I think that. I mean, you look at the size of the corners and DBs in the NFL. I think people look at that. But like I said, a lot of those guys are good enough players to go play on the other side of the ball. But we're looking for size. We're looking for guys that can run, and whether it's a 5'8" guy, I'll take a 5'8" guy that can run, and as well as that 6'1" to 6'3" guy. But I think they look at that and say they got a great opportunity here.
How difficult you guys went up against Penn State for a lot of these kids? How important is it to win those battles, not only from the perception thing, which has been there, but now because that's a team that you guys are going to play for the next 4 years?
I don't think it has anything to do with who you're playing, and I don't think it matters who you're playing against or who you're winning that battle against. But in state, we our priority is to get the players we want and try to keep the players in this area here at home. And I think that 4-1-2 crew and keeping guys home is important to us. And it's not important who we're beating. We could go beat Allegheny College. It doesn't matter who we beat. It's the quality of the character of the kid that we're bringing here to the University of Pittsburgh.
How difficult was it to hold on to all these offensive players when you've lost your offensive coordinator halfway through the process? And how did Coach Canada sort of come in the middle of this and help out?
It obviously wasn't easy, and and I say it's especially with our quarterback. That'd be the one guy that when I talk about team recruiting, if one guy leaves, you hope the rest of them know those kids. And John Peterson recruits the Cincinnati area and really, did a lot of communicating with Thomas. But we probably should have had more guys recruiting him as well. But so again, I thank him again for sticking with us, because he had some other opportunities. He could have jumped ship with his quarterback guy going, and the guy that tried to call him weekly, which was really probably one of my mistakes as a coach. But it wasn't easy. But it's not easy to keep those defense. I mean, you had a battle for each one of these guys. You recruit them for a year, and you don't stop recruiting them once they're committed. And but it does make it a little bit more challenging, when a guy on the staff leaves, especially that position coach, to go. But I think some of those linemen, they still don't know. They really didn't care, because they had a good enough relationship with everybody on the staff.
Talk about going to 8 states. You guys probably went coast to coast with some kids. Did you get a little more increased support from the administration this year?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I just know, since I've been here, we've had that support. So I couldn't tell you what it was like in the past. We had that support last year for our 2 weeks that we're out on the road, and Scott Barnes has done an unbelievable job with the chancellor and really, just saying, hey, what do you need? And the seats you're sitting in right now are because of them. And I might add, this class is not put together without what this facility looks like. I'm sure those guys could verify that. If they walked into this building, I don't know where we're ranked in the country as far as this recruiting class, but I don't think it ranks where it does if we didn't have these great facilities right now.
Pat, going through this process from start to finish for the first time, did you learn anything doing this as a head coach?
I learned it's a crazy business. What are we doing? Chasing around teenagers through high schools. But, besides that, I mean, it's the process. I think the process is the craziest thing that you learn. And I think the process gets crazier every year with Twitter and social media. And, I think Chase Pine was coming here all along. But today you would read his tweets this morning. What did you think? Anybody think he was coming to Pitt? Probably not. I mean, he's, tweeting stuff, but he had already said he's coming here. So it's just the world we live in. I guess I learned that it's crazy and crazier every year. So I just can't wait for next year.
With Aaron, you mentioned, getting him to flip, you had to earn that trust with him. I guess you said was there anything that you think in particular helped kind of flip that switch this late in the process?
Well, with Aaron, it was I think he sat in my office back last summer and said, I want to come to Pitt. And I want to be close to my mother, which, we always knew that. But for a Clarendon kid not to stay at home, it should never happen. And so we knew all along he wanted to be here. To be honest with you, we got him. He hasn't even officially visited yet. He came for a basketball game, and we were able to get him off just that. So his official visit, I guess when we get to wine and dine him, hasn't happened yet. So that's going to happen here, hopefully the next few weeks, that we'll bring Aaron on campus and really show him and his mom and his family what Pitt is really about. But, it was more of just a, timing thing. And really comes down to, Chris asked about needs. At the time, we would have liked to take his commitment. And I won't get into, what happened, but, we wanted him a long time ago, and I think he wanted to come, but he couldn't pull the trigger when we needed to. And then we kind of moved on, and then we started talking about defense, and, he wasn't real high on that. And then, when it came down to character in the end, that's all I'll say. When it came down to character in the end, he was the type of character kid we wanted here, and we traded character for character, or lack of character for character. So we got exactly what we wanted. He's a super kid.
Did the success you had with Brian O'Neill sort of embolden you to go after Zach Williams, that tight end offensive tackle for the gray area?
Not really, but that's always been, our philosophy as a staff, I think, is to recruit big athletic guys. When you look at this list, I mean, Justin Morgan's probably the only guy on that list that you don't say is, one of those guys you're going to mold. We're going to probably trim him down, but when you watch him run, you're saying that guy's 365 pounds of athlete. These other guys are 280 pounds athlete. But, we've always kind of been, in that mold, especially on offense. And I know Coach Canada, our new offense coordinator, has felt that for a long time. Recruit those big, tall, athletic guys. And we'll, with our strength program and in our cafe and in the Steeler Cafe, we can build these guys into what we want. We've had a lot of success with those. And, Brian O'Neill is certainly one of those guys that you look at that fit that mold. And, I would say he's the same type, but we didn't do that because of that. I think that's been our philosophy for a long time, at least mine.
You talked about sort of your versatile players. How much of a blueprint does a guy like Jordan Whitehead sort of provide for somebody like George Sheller?
Yeah. Pretty good blueprint, right? I think for all those guys to look at what Jordan Whitehead did this year, and when you have some two-way players, and hopefully here in the next 6 months we have some more two-way players. I don't think there's anything wrong with guys, having a little package on this side of the ball or that side of the ball. But I think that played a huge factor in a lot of these guys knowing that, hey, I can do that. The Maurice Frenches, the Phil Campbells, I think a lot of those guys would like to do that.
Mark, I asked you a couple questions when you were recruiting them, specifically about your commitment. What was your answer to him to the school? What was your answer to him when he asked you?
What is my commitment? Well, Scott Barnes was just in here. I've got a commitment from the university, so, their commitment adds to my commitment. And, to be able to go through a season and which was a good season, I don't term it as a great season, and win a few more games and be able to get a contract extension. after your first year was, you know, a huge success on our end, and I think it also helps recruiting efforts. But I just told him, hey, listen, you know, I'm not a guy that likes to move around. You know, I think I've told you guys this before, Sam. You just want to hear it again. But I'm not a guy that likes to move around. I like to be stable. You know, I think my wife would kill me if we decided to move out of our house right now. And you know, this is an unbelievable program. And when I first came here a year ago, you know, you signed 15 guys, you lost a couple guys late, and you go, oh gosh, but you know what we did with this recruiting class is what should happen at the University of Pittsburgh every year. We should be able to keep the best talent here in Pittsburgh, and you know, in the surrounding area. Like I said, I mean, we're in a 600-mile radius. There's a lot of great football players here that you don't get a lot of other places in the country. So if we can keep the best players in the area here, you know, you got a chance to win a lot of football games. And I think, you know, with having that, you know, what else do you need? What else is there? I mean, this place is a sleeping giant, and we're just trying to shake it and wake it up a little bit.
You like when kids ask you tough questions?
I love questions. You ask me tough questions all the time. You know, I like the way that's not a tough question. That's an easy question because you answer it with, you know, that's not a tough question unless you have to lie and you're a fraud. But that's not me. I tell it like it is, and that's an easy question. That's, you know, because that's, you feel that with your heart.
Speaking of questions, why don't we take a couple more at the podium, then we'll get to our one-on-one session with our players and staff. Any more questions?
When you sort of evaluate this class, I mean, is it done entirely in a vacuum, or do you look at what other ACC teams have sort of done for the recruiting classes, what, you know, other...
I don't know. You can ask the staff up there, but I don't think we've looked at one ACC roster. I mean, we know if we're recruiting a kid and he goes there and we didn't get him, but we haven't looked at one. You know, we don't look at stars. We don't look at stripes. You know, we don't look at we don't look at other classes. Now we'll go back after the recruiting's over and find out, you know, where everybody else is getting their players, and really do a, you know, massive recruiting evaluation of, you know, how much time we spent. You know, I'd say the other beautiful thing about this place, and maybe Dan Cabal would be a guy you could ask afterwards, but you know, we signed 25. I bet you we didn't bring in 35 kids. So you talk about the win ratio. We brought a kid in, we got him. You know, there was you know, and if we didn't get him, you know, they may have went somewhere else, or we may not have wanted them either. So there was a little bit of that. So I would say we won about 85% of the kids we got on campus. So we brought the right kids here, and when they got here, they loved what they saw. So I think that's amazing. I haven't been a lot of places. I think one weekend we brought in 8 kids. One was already here on camp. I forget what it was, but we were 7 out of 8 in a weekend. I was like, that's unbelievable. It's a pretty good batting number there.
Is there any one of these players that might have been pressed into service a little bit faster that you now have a little bit more time along the defensive line to groom with Price getting the 6th year?
Say that again.
Was there a pass rusher among the group that was going to have to be pressed into service a little bit faster if Price had not gotten the 6th?
Well, they're all going to be pressed into service. I mean, you know, Patrick's sitting up there. You want to be pressed into service? He wants some. So we're going to find out. But they're all going to have an opportunity. Obviously, you know, with Juan being back, that, you know, doesn't change a whole lot because we expected to get him back. And, you know, I didn't have any doubt that would happen. But, you know, you can always use more. We need more pressure on the quarterback, and we need more speed off the edge. And we have some guys that can help us get that done.
Maybe you get the last one.
I know you want the top class in the league every year, but this is one of the better ones. As you look to move this program forward, how good of a building block is this class for you?
You guys speak up a little bit.
This program forward, how good of a class is this building? How good of a building block is this class?
It's a big building block. I mean, you know, I think that's where it starts. And, you know, I thought we had a great one last year. It was smaller, but, you know, the quality was there. You know, now we've got a little bit more quantity of a big 25-person class, and it's a huge block. You know, brings us in a new wealth of talent. You know, wherever we're ranked, you know, I've been ranked terrible and had 7 guys drafted before, so it really doesn't matter. You know, when those guys get here, it's our job to develop them, get them on the field, and put them in position to make plays, and that's our coach's job. But it's a great class, and if we stack 3 or 4 of these on top of each other, you know, look out.